Right, so depending on how you look at this episode, either not a lot happened or a lot of stuff happened. And when I say that, it's because a lot of this episode mainly had to do with character development, or rather a character introduction to Haru Okumura, who is the daughter of the CEO of Okumura Foods. And that was kind of the main focus of this episode, was to pretty much just introduce her to the main cast that we're currently following along right now. And spoiler alert, of course, she ends up kind of pretty much siding with the Phantom Thieves, because the episode starts off with a little bit of a introduction as to how Ren, our main character of this show, has been feeling since Morgana kind of just like disappeared and they couldn't find him. And it's the same thing with Futaba as well. Then they do their little opening, stuff, and then they finally get to kind of like the most important part of the episode, where they finally decided they have to go after this Akumura guy or whatever, right? So they go in front of the headquarters, like the large corporation building that they have, and then they go inside of the palace, and immediately they don't see anything. They look around a little bit. They see kind of what the CEO kind of sees the employees at Big Bang Burger, because that's kind of like the whole like Akumura Foods thing currently with the corporation, and how they see the employees. And then very soon after, we see just this random girl kind of just shows up out of nowhere, and it's Haru Okumura, and she ends up playing an important part of this kind of arc for this palace, rather. And then Morgana actually shows up immediately right after. They have a little exchange of words, and then it's kind of an awkward moment, and then the episode continues on, and they figure out who is the girl who they met in the palace. They speak to Haru over at the school, and then it pretty much just continues from there. They have a little bit more character depth with Haru and how she's dealing with her own personal life with her father. The episode continues on. Ren does a couple of things regarding some of the confidants, like the fortune teller girl and the newspaper like reporter lady. I forget their names. I apologize, but the episode continues. They go to Mementos, and then Ryuji's basically trying to apologize to Morgana, and he kind of messes up by saying something that he really shouldn't have said, but he did. And then, Morgana and Haru just end up, where'd he go away? I have a lot of gas in my chest right now. I don't know why. So Morgana and Haru, they run back to, reality, and then they find this fucking douchebag who fucking confronts Haru. And, again, spoilers, this is Haru's fiance. This is the same thing in the game, but, they brought it into the anime. And this is basically, her fiance. And the reason why he's her fiance is because he's a part of a politics family, and Haru's father is trying to get more into the political side of all this stuff that's happening, because he's directly linked to one of like the main guys, or the guy who basically sent our main character to where he's at currently right now in Shibuya. So there's a little squabble that happens there. Morgana comes back because he kind of ran off, but then he came back to help out Haru, and then the fucking asshole kicks Morgana to the wall, and he actually ends up getting pretty injured pretty badly because he's a fucking cat. So the episode continues on. Obviously, our main cast shows up and they kind of help out Haru. They go back to Ren's like room over at the Blanc, and then they have their little moment. Morgana and everyone, they forgive each other, and then Haru pretty much just, then becomes the next member of the Phantom Thieves without them kind of basically saying anything. But it's kind of obvious because, this whole, like, because they kind of need her, because there was a door that they couldn't get through without, proper authorization. But Haru was able to open that door, easy. Because the way that, Akumura, like the CEO guy, Kanekazu, I think that's what his name is, in the real world, he sees his daughter, as the way she is, as his daughter. So he thinks he can trust her. So therefore, she has more authority, towards anything regarding him and the corporation, which is why she's able to traverse through a lot more of the palace, than any of the other characters can. So the episode pretty much just kind of ends there. Morgana, he's back at the Phantom Thieves. He's not like pissed off at anyone anymore. And then they have a little like end credit scene with Haru where basically like your fucking dad's being a little bit of a dickhead, but that's pretty much it. I kind of forgot what happened, but just he pretty much just says don't get in the way, etc., etc. Do this and that, etc. That's pretty much just all that happens. So, like I said in the beginning of the episode, depending on how you see it, not a lot of stuff happened, regarding like the palace itself. But if you look at it like in terms of character growth and development, a lot of stuff actually did happen. We learned a little bit more about how Morgana is feeling and how he feels about being a part of the Phantom Thieves, and we actually end up getting a new member of the Phantom Thieves, which is Haru. So that's pretty much the entirety of the episode. It looked good. I liked the music. The beginning music when they go into the palace for the first time, they played the soundtrack for it, and it's fucking dope. I actually really like that soundtrack in the game. I wish we could have heard more of it, but there was a lot of little comedic moments and editing style that they did with the episode that I thought was pretty entertaining. But other than that, that's pretty much the entirety of the episode. Nothing else really happened, depending on how you look at it, of course. But we're gonna get a little bit more next week, hopefully. So let's see what happens. Anyways, if you did enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like. If you're new to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button for more videos just like this. I'll see you guys in the next one. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. I'm out. Peace.